Welcome to the Great Detour podcast. I'm your host, Jess. If there's one thing I've learned about life, it's that it's full of twists and turns, and oftentimes a pretty big detour, or two. Sometimes these unexpected paths lead us to a life better than we ever imagined, and other times they give us the hardest lessons we never wanted to learn. But almost always, they leave us changed. Join me and my guests as we explore life's unplanned paths and learn from stories of growth, resilience, and transformation. Hello, and welcome to the Great Detour podcast. I am so excited to have you here with me today. I wanted to take this episode to introduce myself and also to lay out the premise of the podcast so you can understand what it's about and you know what to expect in future episodes. So as the intro said, I'm Jess. I'm a 30-something-year-old New Yorker trying to navigate the ups and downs of life just like the rest of us. And there's a few things about me that I think are important to know before you start listening to this podcast. Historically, I was your quintessential type A. Actually, who am I kidding? I am still very much type A. I can't help it. It's the way I'm wired. But I've always loved things in order, and I used to think that I had a lot of control over my life and its trajectory. I won't lie, I'm still a sucker for a good plan, but when I used to make a plan, it had to work out. I had to stick to it. So for example, in high school, I worked really hard and got good grades, ended up going to a good college, same situation there, then landed a pretty sweet corporate gig after that. Check, check, check. All was going according to the grand plan I had laid out for myself. I got married at 28, so I even overachieved there with the whole getting married before 30 milestone that we all seem to care about so much. And I even went so far as to marry my high school sweetheart. Talk about sticking to a plan. I had thought that I had it all figured out and that things would continue to go the way I had planned them to. Well, life happened. Or shall I say one of life's detours happened. And at 35 years old, my marriage, which was a 17-year-long partnership in total, fell apart by the seams, and I ended up getting a divorce, which was something that seemed inconceivable to me before that. To say that that brought me to my knees is an understatement. It was one of the most difficult periods of my life, and it presented me with a question that was simultaneously one of the most exciting and terrifying questions I've ever had to answer. And that was, who am I? And to be honest, I didn't know how to answer that question at first. Who was I without a partner? And that set me off on a journey of self-discovery and reclamation that I would not trade for anything, because it brought me here with you today. You'll hear more about my story in future episodes. And I wish I could say that that was the biggest detour I've had so far. It hasn't been. Life has a way of continuing to throw curveballs at you, whether it's with aging parents, career changes, you name it, there is no shortage of ways life can throw you off your intended path. But what I realized in all of this is that I'm not unique. Big or small, everyone can relate to when life has not gone according to plan. Take a second to think about your own life, and I'm sure some detours immediately come to mind. And that's what this podcast is about. Those unplanned paths, how we navigate them, how we've learned from them, and who they've helped us become. So I haven't officially launched yet. We'll kick things off in early 2025, but I'm so excited for you to hear from all my guests in season 1. I have an amazing lineup of incredible people from all walks of life. So you're going to hear some stories that will be serious and really pull on your heartstrings. Some will be lighthearted and make you laugh out loud. And then some will just be about healing modalities and resources that you can turn to when you're in the midst of a detour. My hope for this show is that whether you're navigating a detour or you're on the other side of one and trying to make sense of it all, that you'll be encouraged, inspired, and challenged to embrace the unexpected and find hope and meaning even in the most challenging situations. You are not alone. I just want to let you know that we're all in this life together, and we're all just figuring it out as we go along. And I really truly believe that the more we get vulnerable, the more we get curious about life rather than resisting it or trying to make it fit this idea we have for it, the more we'll step into a life of resiliency, empowerment, and authenticity. Because even though we can feel lost on these detours, and believe me, I know it, I have felt so lost on the many detours I've had, I really believe that these are the places where we often find out who we truly are. So there you go. Buckle up, because I hope you're ready for some incredible detours ahead. I am so grateful to have you on this journey with me. Thanks for listening to this episode of The Great Detour. If you like what you're hearing, I'd love if you could leave a rating or review wherever you listen to podcasts. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. If you have a detour story of your own, you can send it to mystory@thegreatdetour.com or shoot me a message at The Great Detour on Instagram. Thanks for taking this journey with me.